Hello, and welcome to Jolene Knits a Lot. This is my show about mostly knitting, I'll be honest with you, and occasionally some other crafts. My name's Jolene. I'm a knitter, a crafter, a mother and wife, a pharmacist, a friend, a dog walker, living in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And thanks for joining me today. I have a few things to catch you up on today. Not the least of which is that this next week will be 1 year since I started podcasting. So it's my 1 year anniversary, and I'm pretty excited that I found this way of sharing what I'm crafting with other people. And I'm so excited and delighted when other people reach out to me about what they've been doing. So thank you. Thank you for those of you who've been with me for this first year, with its ups and downs. I'm really glad that we've stuck it out together. And if you're new here, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, thanks so much for sticking with me. I have several things to share with you today. Maybe we'll start out with a very exciting event that happened last weekend. So last weekend was the Prairie Fibre Festival in Lacombe, Alberta. That's about an hour south of Edmonton, where I live. And this year was the fifth annual. I don't think they missed any, because they had one last year as well. During COVID, there was sort of an opening in the fall last year, and we were able to attend. So this is the 5th annual Prairie Fibre Festival. It's a small festival held in Lacombe, Alberta, which is a really beautiful little town in the prairies, known for, I know it, for its local breweries, but also it's just a lovely little town. The Prairie Fibre Festival is held in their local, I think it's, I should look up what it's called. It's a beautiful facility. It's got a huge hall with meeting rooms. There's an attached library. There's a beautiful cafe and seating space. It's just a great space to have a fibre event, because this is the first year they had classes. And I was fortunate to be one of the teachers at the classes. So I taught stranded colorwork knitting on Saturday morning. We were working on a pattern of my own called Lambs and Ewes, which is a pattern I designed specifically for teaching colorwork. One of the participants told me actually for her it was cows and calves, because she keeps cattle, and her kids, when they saw the hat, they said, oh, that's cows and calves. So that's fine, whatever, it's open to interpretation. So I was delighted to be able to spend some time in the morning doing something that I really enjoy doing, and that's teaching other people how to do stranded colorwork. There was a class of about 11, I think there was 11 people who were able to attend. The students were really lovely. They brought a variety of experience, and the students in the class were the types of knitters who were so excited to help each other and to talk about their outside projects other than what they were working on in class, but also to help each other through some of the tricky techniques that are involved in stranded colorwork. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking outside. He's outside so that I can podcast, otherwise he'd be chewing my knitting, which is not ideal. So Blue has been sent outside, where he likes to look for other dogs at the fence. So yes, I spent the morning knitting. Now the organizers were incredible. So all the participants got a button which allowed them access to the marketplace, which was great. The morning participants we had tea and coffee and muffins in our classroom. Delightful. Everything was really well organized, and the students were wonderful, as I said. So I really enjoyed myself teaching in the morning. And when the class was over, I headed straight to the marketplace because there was some things that I really knew that I wanted to get. Now the marketplace had a great variety of indie dyers Also fiber artists, so people who spin. So there was lots of fleece everywhere. There were bag makers, there were potters. What else? There was some Kiviot, which I thought was interesting. Kiviot producers from, I think, up north. I should check where they're from. Some beautiful leather work. It just a real variety of vendors, which I really appreciated. And when I was talking to the organizer, Lori, hi Lori, she mentioned that she'd like to open it up to some next year to possibly some other types of crafts, and I think that would be great as someone who has taken up cross stitch in this last year, as you've seen, but also other newer, not newer, new again crafts that people are sort of embracing again, like macrame. Possibly weavers. There was, oh, I should tell you that there was the Alberta Crankers, which is a group of people who do circular sock knitting on metal machines. I wanted to stop and ask them, but I'm sure they don't have any experience with 3D printed versions, which are nowhere near the capacity of their beautiful metal machines. So, so it was a really great day. So it was a wonderful marketplace. And being able to teach and be around other knitters was a great way for me to fill my cup, my creative cup. So it was a really great day. And what I think I'm going to do right now is just insert some pictures of some of the vendors that I saw at the Prairie Fibre Festival. They did have some different vendors from Saturday to Sunday. I was there on Saturday. So here's some pictures and some footage from the festival that I hope you will enjoy. For your viewing pleasure, the Lacombe Prairie Fibre Festival 2021. So I hope you enjoyed that quick view of some of the vendors who were there. I went to the marketplace with the intention of getting myself a mug. That was what I definitely wanted to get. Now, I was sort of like, well, if I get some yarn, that would be fine. Okay, let's be honest. I was always going to get some yarn. I might as well be honest with myself, right? Anyway, the first place I went was a pottery booth that I went to last year, and I got a beautiful pottery mug, and I have to say, I use that mug a lot, constantly, and if I'm not using it, my younger daughter is stealing it from me. So I really loved it, and I wanted to get something similar. So I went to her booth. I had seen online this is Shelleys Artistry Co., and I will put a link in the description box below to some of the vendors that I talk about right now. So I went to Shelleys, and I spoke with her. She actually doesn't live very far from me, probably maybe 15-20 minutes, maybe not even. So she mentioned that if there was anything that I liked, she could make it and just deliver it to my house, which was dangerous. Anyway, I had a look at her mugs, and I came away with this one. I really love this shape of mug that she makes. Now, these are all hand thrown, you can see. I just love this. The shape of this mug really mimics the other one that I got. It fits in my hands really nicely. Love the handle, love the bear. My family has a bit of a history with bears, and not in the way you might think. My oldest daughter, when she was born, received a stuffed pink bear. We named it Bear because we're not very original in some ways. Anyway, Bear has been a part of our family for 15.5 years. He is still very much a part of my daughter's room. He has been stuffed and restuffed and washed, and he's missing an ear and his brain stuffing is falling out, but we still love Bear very much. So we've also met bears on walks when the girls were very young. So bears are just, around. But I really like this mug. She had several with bears on. One had, well, there were some with black bears and some with polar bears, white bears. But this was one that I really liked. I love the speckling on the mug in the glaze. It's just a lovely mug. It can hold quite a surprising amount of coffee. And I love when it's warm to put my hands around the belly of it. So this is made by Shelleys. Oh, she's got a nice stamp on the bottom. Shelleys Artistry Co. And I'm going to show you that right now. So I came away with my mug, which I was delighted with, and then I just was wandering through the marketplace. There's some really, really beautiful vendors. I mean, I stopped to talk to a lot of them. I took some pictures, as you could see in the footage that I showed you. But there was two dyers that I came away with yarn from. The first one that I picked up was, let me find it, here it is. Okay, this is a dyer who is actually very active in events sort of in and around Western Canada. I know that she's going to be vending at the Mini Knit City in Vancouver in October. She also has a beautiful website, so if you want to find her, you can find her there. And this dyer is called Ginger Snap. Now, she and her husband own this business, and they have dyed yarn, and they also have beautiful bags. This is called the Hydrangea Frenzy Full Set in the Puffy Fingering Weight. It's a kit, and it is 80/20 superwash merino and nylon. It is for making socks. Now this kit, when I saw the sample of it, is pretty spectacular. And it's really hard to see in these wound up skeins. So there's two 50-gram skeins and one contrasting purple color. These skeins gradiate from like a really olivey green, you can see hints of it here, from one end of the skein to this beautiful like purpley, light pink almost at the other end. I'm going to maybe try and insert some pictures here of what they look like from her website. Just stunning, really beautiful. The samples that were knit up were just beautiful, and she had half skein, so you could have each of these makes one sock. So this is quite a bit. 50 grams is a lot. I was looking for this colorway in the smaller skeins, but she had run out by that point because, understandably, it's beautiful. So I picked up the fuller skein, and I thought, well, I'll see what I can do with it. And I have plans. My plan is to make some fluorite socks. Fluorite is a pattern that was written by Andrew and Mallory. They were meant for a gradiated set of various yarns. I think the original samples were knit in Labby Anime, and you would gradiate the yarn yourself. But this is going to do the work for me, and they're a toe-up knee-high sock. So my plan is to use as much of this yarn as I can, and then have the purple be the ribbing at the top. Now, I know not everybody wears knee-high socks as an everyday kind of thing, and I don't necessarily either, although I do like them over some leggings in the winter. They're quite cozy, but we do ski, and I love wearing hand-knit knee-high socks for skiing. I like that they come up higher than my boot so I don't get rubbing. They're warm, they're cushy, they're my favorite thing for wearing while skiing, and my daughters also will wear them. So I'm going to knit these up. I think they're going to be on my needles soon. I'm going to hand knit them because there was some shaping involved in the pattern, and I've knit them before, so I just need to dig out that pattern and get started. So I'm excited. These are from Ginger Snap. Now, the last vendor whose booth I visited was Sassy Strings. Now, when I did my initial loop of the marketplace, you know how when you're walking, certain colors really kind of speak to you? And there's various dyers there that I have tried their yarn, and I really enjoy their colors. But this booth really was stunning, visually stunning. And just the colors, I think, were just right for the season. And I'll show you what I mean by that, because I bought a few. So Sassy Strings is a dyer out of, let me see if she tells me on her ball band. She does not. She does not live far from here though, so I believe she's an Alberta dyer. She has beautiful labels. In her booth she had a couple of different fingering weights, some DK, some bulky. And these were the colors, these were a sampling of the colors that she was featuring across those bases. Now, the whole booth looked like this, these jewel tones, just beautiful. And I'll show you, I'll just tell you the colors that I got. This is Sangria. Here we go. It is in the Sassy sock base, so it's a 75 Superwash Merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards for 4-ply, so it's a fairly light fingering. Here are her beautiful labels. Sangria. And I got, this is called Breathless. I was chatting with another knitter after I had made all my purchases, and she said, you know, it's a color you don't see very often, which is true. It's quite pretty. I have Blackberry, which is really a deep purple. These are all on the Sassy sock base. I got Frostbite. And I also got Amber. Now this color there weren't very many of these left. And I think understandably, finding a really beautiful sort of deep golden color like this, it's almost an ochre. I don't know, how would you describe that? It's really a beautiful, beautiful dye job. And let me tell you, there were not very many of this skein left. So this is the first one I grabbed off the shelf. And then I started picking some other colors. And I came away with these 5 skeins. And I feel like these 5 skeins need to be in a project together, don't you? It's just stunning, that booth. Really beautiful. And that leads me to projects that need 5 skeins of yarn. And in particular, there is a knit along coming up, hosted by Stephen West. Have you heard of this designer, Stephen West? No, I'm being facetious. Okay, Stephen West, as you probably know, is a very, very well-known pattern designer. He makes beautiful shawls and he's got some beautiful, like really, really unique sweater patterns as well. But he's quite known for his shawl designs. And every fall he hosts a knit along. This year's knit along is called Shawlography, which I think it is an homage probably, or a nod to his background as a modern dancer, which he studied. I believe he studied modern dance prior to his becoming a quite well-known knitwear designer and shop owner. Now I had toyed with the idea of doing the Shawlography shawl. Stephen West patterns in the past have been stunning, but they aren't always my cup of tea. The one year that I participated in his mystery make-along, we knit the Color and Pop, I believe, shawl, and in the end it just wasn't a shape that I found I could wear. So I was a little disappointed. I enjoyed the process of knitting along with everybody else, but in the end it wasn't quite the project that, or the finished object that I felt I could wear a lot. But I love participating in a knit along, the excitement of getting your pattern every week, knitting along with other knitters, seeing what they're doing, what colors they're using, how they're combining them. So I have a little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out, but I'm also trying to be a little cautious because I don't want to commit to a pattern that I'm not going to love in the end. So, my plan, and maybe you want to do this too. As you may know, I knit a lot. And I'm actually a fairly quick knitter. So I think what I'm going to do is wait until the pattern comes out, which is August 8th, or sorry, not August, October 8th. The pattern comes out. I am going to lurk. I'm going to be that person on the social medias waiting for the incredibly fast European knitters. They're always European. They're often Swedish, Norwegian, Finnish, German, very fast knitters. We'll finish the first clue in the first 24 hours, guaranteed. And I'm gonna lurk like nobody's business at the spoilers of those patterns. And I think based on the first week, or possibly the first 2 weeks, depending on how the first one looks, I'll make a decision on whether or not I want to knit this pattern. So if it's starting to look like a shape that I like, and I think if it's looking like a crescent shawl, I'll probably knit it. I'll be honest with you. If it's looking like a shape that I cannot determine, or if it's just not speaking to me, I'll probably pass and save these beautiful 5 skeins for another project. So that's my plan. You'll know in about a month what I've decided to do. But this time I'm going to be a little bit cautious before I dip my toes in the water, and I'm going to rely on the speediest knitters to finish some projects so I can totally spoil it for myself in the first clue at least, and then decide if I want to commit. And then I will probably have enough time to catch up with that clue before the second one comes out. There's 4 clues, so the patterns come out, the pattern pieces come out once a week over 4 weeks. The last piece comes out in October 29th or something, the very end. So I will have time to catch up and knit along with everybody else if I choose to do that. That is my plan for those 5 beautiful skeins. And if not, then I guess I'm gonna start looking for some other projects that might be nice. Because those skeins, while I bought them thinking I could use them independently, I can mix and match them, but they are so lovely together that I would really like for them to be in a project together, I think. So, shawlography, fingers crossed, it's a shape that I like. And if it's not, I'm totally gonna keep lurking and watching what people knit, because I like to do that. And certainly some of his past patterns just were stunning, like the Starflake, beautiful. The one from last year, which Slipstravaganza maybe, beautiful. He did one. I have knit 1 or 2 of his mystery knit-alongs just after the fact, so we'll see. But I'm really hoping that it's something that I can jump on board with right away, which makes me wonder if I should. No, I'm not going to. I was going to say, it makes me wonder if I should wind the yarn in preparation, but I think I'm just going to leave them in skeins, because if it's not something I want to dip my toes into, then I just would like to leave the yarn in skeins rather than in cakes. When you cake up your yarn, it can stretch it out a little bit, so it's best to store your yarn as the skein, and I would like to do that for as long as possible. So if I'm not going to participate in the knit along, then I'm just gonna leave that yarn in skeins. But I'm really happy with the colors that I selected. So since I saw you last, I have a couple finished objects, including the Foxglot sweater. Yes, check that out. I hope the colors are coming across on screen. It's quite stunning. I'm going to insert some pictures here of me wearing it so you can see a little bit better instead of me just sitting in a chair. I'm really happy with the way this sweater turned out. I knit it quite oversized. Some of the models in the, particularly in the pullover and the cardigan, the modeled pictures are more fitted. But I have a lot of fitted sweaters, I'll be honest with you. And I kind of like that this one is super roomy and super oversized. As you can see, I chose not to do the color work on the sleeves because, okay, let's just be honest. When your sleeve is this long, how could I fit color work on there? That would just be crazy. You can see my armpit. My actual armpit is here. That's how much armpit room I have. However, it's really cozy sweater. It's really nice. Today is a cooler, cloudy day, and so I'm really enjoying wearing this sweater. I managed to knit up these sleeves so quickly. And I think we talked a little bit about the math last time. They sit right at my wrist, sort of a bracelet length, and actually it's perfect. I love this length of sleeve because I'm not rolling them up and they're not getting in my way. And I feel like they're snug enough around the wrist without being too snug. Just really, really happy with the way this sweater has turned out. That's my Fox Thoughts. And it was published in Pom Pom magazine. I have 2 more finished objects, which you probably have never seen before. And they were sort of a spur-of-the-moment projects that were inspired by my daughters and my dog. So my dog, Blue, he's a boy, and he has 2 girlfriends. We don't judge. They choose their own lifestyle. But they're 2 really lovely little lady dogs who he has befriended, and they often will meet in the field behind our house to play, and he loves them. It's really sweet to see them all together. One of them is named Sammy J. Her actual name is Samuel L. Jackson, and she's sort of a pug mix. She's a Mohawk, and she's a great little dog. She likes to play rough with Blue, so the 2 of them really like to rumble around. And the other dog that they play with is Piper. Piper is a much more dainty dog, but she's fast as anything, and she likes to flip Blue around and play with him. But I think Blue somehow knows that he's bigger than her, so he is quite a bit more gentle with her, and he will lay on the ground and wait for her to come and sort of jump on him before he starts to play with her, which is really sweet. Anyway, mornings and evenings are getting cooler here in Edmonton, so I whipped up a couple sweaters for Blue's doggy friends. Now, I'm just going to show you the original that I knit. This is the Juno dog sweater. This was inspired by Tom Daley of the British diving team from the Tokyo Olympics. He was seen knitting dog sweaters, so I decided to knit one up too. It's knit in Cascade Eco Wool. It's just like a really, actually quite soft wool. And Blue's, as you can see, I added some short rows on the bum because Blue's got a very long body, just to sort of lengthen it out over the back. So that is Blue's. Sammy J gets the medium size. This one is written as the pattern directed. And Piper, I decided to make a little bit smaller. So Blue's, I added 4 stitches when I cast on, and I kept it kind of a bit bigger, as you can see. Then Sammy J's is knit as the pattern directs, and it's a little bit smaller. She doesn't have quite as long a body as Blue. And then Piper's, I took 4 stitches away, so I cast on 36 stitches, and anytime it said, it's a free pattern, so anytime it said knit 10 rows, I knit 8 rows. If it said cast off 10 stitches for the leg, I did 8. So this is Piper's. It's a little bit smaller. And so these are the 3 dog sweaters, small, medium, and large. And I'll try and get some pictures of these sweaters on their models at some point. But yes, fall sweaters for Blue and his gang. So that's 2 finished objects this week, which are it's kind of like cheating because these are very small. Like I knit these in, I could probably knit one in a day. I knit Blues in a day, and these 2 are smaller, but they're still enjoyable to knit. And what I should say to you is that I have been embracing the magic loop lately. It's not really, it wouldn't be my go-to. Like I don't love it, but I'm finding there are places and times when magic loop seems to work well for me, and I'm getting, the more I use it, the more I consider it as an option when I'm knitting smaller circumferences. So when I knit the sleeves of these sweaters, I use magic loop, and I'm quite happy with my results. I didn't get any laddering at all, so that's really great. And I knit these 2 smaller dog sweaters with magic loop because the size shifts quite a bit from here to here, and so it was just easier to use magic loop. I don't think that magic loop is going to be my go-to for anything, but it is a nice option to have in your toolbox, I guess. And those are my dog sweaters. I have 2 projects that I have been working on the last couple weeks. I'll just quickly wave. I'll wave at my Pavement sweater. This sweater has been on my needle since June, which is pretty uncharacteristic of me. It's just stockinette, and I'm doing helical knitting so that the balls are alternating and I'm not getting too much crazy speckling. And I'm really loving the fabric that I'm getting. It just is stockinette. So it's not the most exciting thing to knit. So this is something I can knit mindlessly while I'm doing something else. But I have made some progress. The body is growing. It's just taking time. And I cast on a brioche sweater for my, scarf. This is a scarf for my husband. I thought I would just sort of pick up, do you ever crave stitching or knitting certain stitches? Lately I've been craving brioche. It's just a fun fabric, and it's nice to do every once in a while. So I am knitting a scarf for my husband in 2 colors of Malabrigo Rios. This light blue color is called Cosmos, and this darker blue color is called Cowboy. This is a scarf pattern by Stephen West. It's a free pattern that he put up. It's kind of older now. I think it's been out for quite some time. And Stephen West alternates between, I think, 9 different colors. I'm just using 2, kind of going for a straightforward scarf kind of look. And it's just simple 2-color brioche. So if you were looking to practice your brioche, this is a great way to do it because it's just the same thing over and over and over again, quite satisfying. If you're looking to learn how to do 2-color brioche, this is also a great pattern because you get so much practice. And I love the squishy nature of this. It's great drape. My only question is how long to knit it. Now Stephen's pattern goes for I think 90 inches. I'm not sure my husband would know what to do with a 90-inch scarf. I'm looking for more of a standard kind of length for him. If you have a standard scarf length that you knit for men, could you just leave it in the comments below? I would really appreciate that. Some of the reading I've done says about 60 inches or possibly a little bit more. And a friend of mine recommended having it be able to wrap around their neck once, but no more than that. Well, maybe a little bit more than that. Or not going past their waist when it's just hanging around their neck. That seemed like a good recommendation, so I may be trying it on my husband. But so far, I have not finished the first balls of yarn, although I'm getting close. I have this much left. And I have approximately this much knitting done. So for right now, like I'm not there yet. But I think this will be a nice manly scarf, don't you? And he can choose if he wants like the darker side out or the lighter side out. Ta-da! It's really soft yarn. I can't think if I've ever knit with Malabrigo Rios before, but it's really quite lovely. There is a tonal definition. So if I was knitting this stockinette, I would for sure be alternating balls because there is quite a bit of variation between the skeins. Or within the skein, but with this brioche stitch I think it's just fine, and honestly I think that I'm going to be able to knit this whole scarf with the 2 balls that I have of each color and probably have some left over, so I may make a hat. I don't know if I want to make a brioche hat or a color, well, probably won't make a colorwork hat for my husband. It might be striped. I don't know. I have to look into hat options, but I'll have to see how much yarn I have left over. But I'm really loving the way this brioche is turning out. That's one side, and this is the other. So Bundled in Brioche by Stephen West. It's a free pattern if you're looking to just practice some 2-color brioche or learn a new skill. And that is all I have on the needles today. Thank you so much for stopping by and chatting with me about knitting and knitting festivals and dog sweaters and pottery and how long a man's scarf should be. so many things to discuss. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope that you had a fun couple of weeks. Maybe you were at the Prairie Fibre Festival and got some fabulous yarn. If you did, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Or maybe you went to a yarn festival closer to home, wherever you live. And I'd love to hear about that too. Are you knitting shawlography? Are you braver than I, and have you jumped in? Please let me know. And if you finish your first clue in the first 24 hours, send me a picture because I really want to see your work. Okay, thank you. Is that a deal? Do we have a deal? Yes, thank you. In the meantime, I have a scarf to knit. The pavement is probably going to go on the back burner for a little bit over this weekend, and I'll pick it up again on Monday. It's sort of a boring weekday kind of knit. Although, this week my kids are starting, my older kid is starting back at her dance classes, which she hasn't been at really consistently for a year. And so she's super excited. And my younger daughter is looking forward to trying out for the junior high volleyball team. So there's excitement around here and a feeling like some things are returning to normal in spite of the fact of our province dealing with a really devastating fourth wave of COVID that is being particularly driven by people who have not had their vaccines. They're the people who are suffering right now. They're the people in hospital right now. They're the people in ICU right now. So I encourage you, if you haven't had your COVID shot, to really think about it. It is healthy young people who are being devastated by this disease, including people that I know who are young and healthy and active. And by young and healthy, I mean in your 50s, 60s even. Healthy, active, intubated in an ICU for a disease that is particularly cruel. So if you can protect yourself by getting a vaccine, I would love for you to do that. Because I would love for you to be here in another year when we're celebrating 2 years of Jolene Mitzvah. Next week, I think I'm going to be talking about first Potiversary celebrations, so I hope you'll join me again then. In the meantime, I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy. I hope you find ways to celebrate this cooler sweater weather. I hope you find time to do the things that you love to do. I plan on knitting a lot. Thank you so much for joining me. See you soon.